Here for now. I'm live streaming, in case you couldn't tell by me randomly trying to get these cables working. Everything should be ready to run. Twitch should have caught up by now and should know that I am online. Yeah. And Alboechi's already said hi, so hello. Alboechi seems to always be here when I start streaming. His timing is impeccable. So we're going to tell the world that we're streaming. We're going to finish working on this game today. Probably release it just before I go to bed, and then wake up to a whole bunch of people complaining that it's busted. That's how it works. So we'll go over to Twitter to start with, and just post that we are, in fact, live. Streaming Procjam game dev. Gotta finish up today. Oh, and then, of course, the actual location of where we're streaming. All right. So that was fun. Now let's get ourselves actually working. I've got myself a bunch of things I have to do today, and we might as well just do them in no particular order. It's all basically polish and a couple of very, very minor features. So what we're going to do is, first things first, I want to add in a black backdrop to the sold pop-up. The problem with the sold pop-up as it stands is that you can't actually read it very well because these characters all have things popping up and there's a planet, so these white text and the red text isn't as, backgrounded as dark. However, we can create a new panel and put it behind the panel, call this backdrop, because the only thing that's animated here is, in fact, this part. The rest of this, we can just use it as a black backdrop and have it be in front of the others. In order to have that be something that we really want to do, we're going to want to make this sort order 1 so that it's always in front. And that should make it so that when we sell the planet, we will get a nice readable pop-up instead of some arbitrary crap. Now, the next thing we need to be able to do is to go to another world, another solar system. And to do that, what we're going to want to do is have a universe that is cached, but we want to have a new sun that we can set the seed on. So for that, what we're going to do is we're going to go and open up the planet spawner for the sun. Just open up the sun script. And this sun script, I believe that there is not one on the brown dwarf. Okay, there is, so there shouldn't be. We're going to remove this from the brown dwarf because the sun is going to go ahead and control the overall setting of the area. So, controls, planet spawners, mostly for setting, what's it called? Random seeds. And we'll go ahead and say public planet spawner, or public, we don't even need a planet spawner, we just need to, public int seed. And then what we're going to want to do is here in start, we're going to want to set up our random values. So random.seed, but you can see that I should use init state here, or random.state, which is an interesting combination. I've never tried to use these before, but we can go ahead and do it. Now the problem with random.init state is that these are not going to affect the seeds of the random noise generators. The random noise generators don't use this same seed, but it will affect exactly what kind of planets spawn. So the random text that you type in will create a seed that allows you to this actually should be awakened, sorry. This will allow you to, no, hold on. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this, but this will allow you to set the seed up for these suns. The problem is that as it stands, the planet spawners don't have any particular way to delay them. They just run whenever you start, right? And I can't really, I can go ahead and over here in the sun, I can turn off the planet spawner. No, there we are. And that way I'll be able to turn it on with this, right? So we'll go ahead and do that. Planet spawner p equals, that should be start. Get component planet spawner dot enabled equals true. So if we set it to active, it will enable itself and turn itself on. Right now this is in start. What I want to do instead is I want to have it be in, I want to have a pop-up which asks you what it should be. So in order to do that, what we're going to need to do is have a sun that we spawn into the game world when we want, and then we'll have something else that causes it to spawn. So we're going to go ahead and put that down here in the prefabs list. And we're going to want to have the universe understand that you might not be in the place where there is a solar system. If we start on the quote-unquote galaxy map, that's fine. So we're going to want to have a galaxy map object that allows us to do things, right? I'm going to go ahead and put it in the same place as the Robodex. There's no reason to have a different material for this. Put a object here in the middle. We don't need it to be offset. Something like that will work fine. We'll go ahead and make it opaque. Boom. And we will call this the Explorer. We're going to need to have a UI text box, which will make just fill the upper part. Oh, come on. There we are. I'll go ahead and give that this guy. And then we'll set these up properly. And this can be set to whatever we want, I suppose. Doop, doop. And we'll go ahead and turn on the best fit and say, where will you set warp coordinates to, and then we'll put in a text box. I mean, like an input text box. I hope everybody can hear me okay. My voice is a little bit grumpy today. Maybe I've been talking too much in the past couple of days, but hopefully it's hearable. So what we're going to want to do is have this get set up. And it can have a whole bunch of values set to it, including the default and stuff like that. So what we're going to want to do is have the default text be something that we can check, something that we can deal with. So we'll just go ahead and put in starter soul. We'll go ahead and make a default for soul. Oh no, because I can't verify that like that. So we'll go ahead and call it someplace. No, we're gonna just leave it empty. And then what we'll do is we'll just change the enter input text warning into something else. Placeholder. Here it is. Somewhere over the rainbow. Third star to the right. That's not how you spell that. There. And then we're going to want to put in a button. UI button. Button. We'll go ahead and call that engage. Nope, that's not what I wanted to have changed. The button is what I want to scale. There we go. Shwoof. Now, fly away on that button, and we'll just scale the entire Explorer box until it fits a little bit better. So right now this input field is scaled a little bit funny. I'm gonna want to scale it like this instead. Same with this box, because the vertical scaling isn't what I want to keep. It's just the horizontal scaling that needs to be kept. And you can see that as I do this, they shift a little bit. That's not too bad. We can just select them all and drag them all down. That seems a little bit small, so we'll just expand it just a touch. There we are. And we will change this to say warp coordinates. There we are. And you can just type whatever you want into that box and it will work fine. So we'll go ahead and have this engage button call the universe and tell it where to go. And the way that's going to work is it's going to pass a text box to the universe. So the universe needs a couple of things that it needs to understand. The first thing it's going to need is a transform. So public transform, or game object is better. Public game object Explorer tab, Explorer pane, Explorer panel. And what we're going to want to do is just toggle that on and off when we're told to go somewhere. We're also going to need to have a sun. So public sun. And those are the two things that are going to combine to give us the outer loop we need. So public void warp string destination. So what we do when we do that is we're going to go ahead and say that our state equals interaction state dot interaction state. God, I can't spell it all anymore. Dot planet solar system. There it is. And then we're going to want to spawn in a sun. So sun s equals sun dot instantiate sun s dot seed equals. We're going to want to transform that destination string into an integer value that we can use as a seed. And there are a couple of ways to do that. We can be as clever or as unclever as we want, and we can also do things like store other values here. If we wanted to, for example, we could make it spawn a number of planets equal to the number of characters that you typed. But I think for that, we'll just go ahead and see whether or not we can just get the hash code of it. This is the easiest way for us to get an arbitrary seed value, and it will be the same every time. But as I said, the noise values on the noise fields won't get initialized by this. So you'll still get random planets. They'll just have the same fundamental features. And then that will automatically start properly in the next round, so we won't have to worry about that. But we do want to hide our Explorer tab. And then down here we're going to want a public void. This can be a static void warp. No, wait, we don't need it to be static. That's fine. This, however, should be static. Public static void unwarp. And this is us returning to the galaxy map. What the heck is going on? Okay, so apparently I've got a typo somewhere because it is auto-completing to random garbage, which is what this particular system does when it has a typo. But I don't see any typos, so I guess it's just... Oh, it's static. I'm an idiot. Live.state equals interaction state.galaxy map. And then we're going to want to clear out any sun that exists in the game world. That's not too hard to do, but there are a couple of questions as to how to do it easiest. I think the easiest way is to have a sun and a live sun. So we'll have a live sun and a sun prefab. There we are. And then down here we're going to go ahead and say live sun equals sun.instantiate sun prefab. That's the wrong name. Sun prefab, or prefab sun, so that we keep them on the same. Sun prefab, sun live. I'm not actually awake yet, in case you're wondering. So let's try that one more time. Sun live equals sun prefab. Sun live.seed equals that. And then down here we say destroy sun live.gameObject. And everything is within that game object, so it should work fine. And then Explorer panel, live.explorer panel. That should be live.sunlive. Set active true. There we are. So that's how we're going to unwarp. But the thing is that there's actually more that we need to do when we unwarp, because all of the talking heads have spent money. Some of them have. We're going to want to restore their cash flow. And we're also going to want to increase the amount of money they have that they can spend. So to do that, we're just going to go through each of them and reset that stuff. So for each talking head in talking head group dot live dot heads exit solar system. Because it makes more sense for this to be done here in the talking head instead of putting that code in the universe, which wouldn't really make much sense. So here we're going to go ahead and we're going to say that our current bid, it's not a current bid, is it? A star system spent this system equals 0. But we're going to want to increase our max bid by some percentage of that. Max bid plus equals spent this system divided by 3. That's fine. In that way, we'll have this situation where our max bids steadily increase, and that should work fine. We're also going to want them to say something based on what happened, give you like an overall report. So we're going to go ahead and say if spent this system is greater than equals 0, say that star system was a bust. Else if spent this system is less than max bid divided by 2, say I hoped for more from that star. Else say we're pretty happy with how that went. There we are. And then we'll just reset that stuff. And that should be fine. So all of that told, we should now have the last thing is, it's not called exit solar system, head.exit solar system, idiot. So the last thing we'll need to do is set up a way for us to exit the solar system. And the way to do that is going to be in the universe. When we right click, it clicks off selected, as you can see. So we'll just go ahead and say case solar system. Then we're going to want to exit the solar system. What did I call it? Leave solar system? Unwarp. Unwarp return, I think. There we go. So this should now allow us to properly set up various planets as we see fit, except for we haven't finished quite wiring it up. And we're also going to want one more thing. So if destination equals blank, we're just going to go ahead and set up a default destination for us because the hash code for a blank string isn't something I want. So we're going to go ahead and just call this sol. No one's going to see it, so it doesn't matter what it is. But we should be able to see the seed when we hit play and then verify that we get the same things every time and stuff like that. So we're going to go try it. Oh, I think I have to set it up first, don't I? Yep, I forgot to put the sun in, so drop the sun into the sun prefab, and then drop the explorer into the explorer panel. I think that's all good. Save it one more time here. Also, I think that the robots have too high of a starting budget. So we're going to go ahead and take this max bid down to 25. So we're going to go ahead and add some debug code in now that I'm thinking about it. Debug.log warping to destination plus seed plus destination get hash code. Right. So let's see. What did I forget? I forgot to set up the button. So the button has to tell the universe that it is time for us to warp. 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 But you can see how it asks for a string and we don't have one. We're going to want to have the ability to pass a warp field with a text box. Public void warp text box. Warp text box dot string. There we are. And that's because we can pass a text box pretty easily. We just can't pass a string because we can't reference interior objects in that way. I'm going to go ahead and say that none of these should be... Well, I guess we'll go ahead and make it normal. Vertical. Navigation of automatic. So why can't I set it back to automatic? Oh, here it is. I'm just a dumbass. So there we are. We're going to want this to be a universe.warp string? No, universe.warp text. And then we're going to want to pass it the input button, or the input text box, like that. And that should work. Let's try it out. Warping to Sol. And you can see that it spawned in, but it didn't appear to have actually accomplished anything. The planet spawner never turned on. If we turn it on, we get those two objects. And then it right-clicked. It looks like we're not properly turning it on here. So the sun should have a start function, but I didn't see one. Planet spawner pick. Oh, that's the problem. There we are. All right, so it's the same seed. And you can see that this is a very, very basic planetary system. It's only the 2 hot planets. What I'd like to do is search for an integer value that has a really good starting system that's just moons and hot planets. Because I don't want any green planets, but I also need to have a moon. So we're just going to, randomly search through all of space until we find a random value that works for us. See, this has a lot of systems, but it's a little bit too much. So we're just going to back out and type in more stuff. It doesn't matter what the text is. All we're looking for is the seed. And this is also a bust. Well, might as well try some fun ones. Pork. Let's go to pork. And enter does not currently trigger this, so that's another thing I'm going to want to do. If I hit enter, I'm going to want it to engage. Pork is too much. Let's try chicken. Chicken is just 2 hot planets. Let's try soup. Soup is quite large. Let's try Bumberdoodle. Oh, there's a lot. Let's try Grumpy. Grumpy. Sleepy. Dopey. Does this have something besides hot planets? 2 hot planets. Why is it always 2 hot planets? Okay, so it looks like what I'm going to need to do is... why don't I prefabricate a sun? We'll have a faked sun, and that will be the default. So we'll drop this sun in, and we'll set it up as Sol. And then I'll just drop it back into the prefabs as its own thing. And what we'll do is we're actually going to go ahead and remove the sun and planet spawner scripts from this. The way that we do this, I'm actually going to go ahead and put them back in. I lied. The way that we do this is we're going to go ahead and have this be 0, 0. That way it won't spawn any planets, right? But this Sol, we're going to put some planets in it to start with. So to do that, what we're going to want to do is set them up at the proper ranges. Now, I've called it Sol, but I have no interest in recreating the actual solar system. What we're going to want to do here is just put in a moon-like and a hot planet. We don't really care what the result is in terms of how they look. We just need them to... oh, well, I can't see them. Hold on. Drag them out of the way. Obviously, I shouldn't put them inside the sun. Now, I believe that what I've got it set up to do is a 2 and then a 1. That should work. Let's find out. That looks right, except for they're all rotated funny. So let's hide this Explorer for a moment so I can see what's going on. Yeah, they're just rotated onto their poles. So we'll go ahead and spin them up. like that. And then we're going to save this Sol as its own planet, and we're going to go ahead and have our universe have a default universe. Sun live and sun default. So if that's the case, we're going to want to have our placeholder, our text here be sun or something defaultish like home. And you can change it. So we're going to want to have our destination equaling quote or destination equals home. Did I do it with a capital? I did it with a capital. Then what we're going to want to do is have a completely different set of rules that ends with a return. And we will just go ahead and copy all of, well, this part we can put up top. And same with this part. But this part, we're not going to be using the sun prefab. We're going to be using the sun default. There we go. So, whoop, yeah, delete everything, please. I definitely didn't want to get the game done today. So there we are. That should work. All we have to do is set it up so that it actually has a default sun wired in. There. Let's try it on for size. Yeah, see how it doesn't say anything? It just says third star to the right, even though I changed the text. That's interesting. Well, if I hit engage... so you can see that I have Sol and a sun because I forgot to tell it to return. I was about to type return when I deleted everything, and it turns out that I forgot to retype it. There we are. We just engage, and we get to see this very, very basic set of worlds with this one moon. Oh, I forgot they're supposed to go inside. Hold on, I've got to bring Sol back out. I forgot that they're supposed to go inside of pop-ups just to prevent the animations from screwing up. So that's what we're going to do now. We have to put the pop-ups back in. 2 planet slots, one here and one here. And these guys, we're going to move them here and here. And drop them in here and here. Save. All right, so here's our default world. Super, super basic setup. This is a very white moon. So if we want to set up a city, we should be able to find a place that we want. This is where the player can experiment. I think 100 credits is far too much to start with, though. So here you can see that we got Regolith, and this person has no interest in the city, but is still bidding 14 credits. Sounds like a bug. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it like that because it's kind of funny. We can go ahead and click. Congratulations, you sold a planet. And then we will just, if we click again, they'll complain and they'll say we can't do that. And you click again here, they'll complain again. So now what we'll do is we'll rush on over to the hot planet and get some values there. One thing I'm thinking of is having the next line be like a glowing bright blue scanners line. This is kind of an interesting setup, isn't it? Look at this. I like it. Max bid, 25 credits. This guy still has no interest in this city. There must be a bug or something, because that's really silly. You shouldn't think it's that hard to launch rockets from, but that's fine. So if we do that, we're going to get a maxed out bid here. And if we were going to try and get another planet, we wouldn't be able to because he's out of cash. He'd have to be bidding 0. And it would say max bid 0. But if we move on to the next place, like Scunthorpe, oh, I forgot to put enter in. We now have a much larger planet. And if we take a look at our friend the robot, we should see that his max bid has gone up to 33.33333. So first things first, let's go ahead and make that max bid increase not result in random crap. mathf.ceil to int, or just ceil, doesn't need to be to int. And we're going to want to also make it so that when we hit enter, we press a button on end edit. See, I don't know whether on end edit is the same thing. Oh, and the reason that there's no text in there is because I didn't apparently save that text. It's fine. So on end edit might be when you like click away from it. Sure, we'll go ahead and do it. And we'll just have it do the exact same thing. It'll tell the universe that we are going to warp. And let's go ahead and see what that has to do, because I don't want to run it twice. That's the key here. So we'll type some stuff in, and then we'll hit enter. Okay, just warped once. That was the thing I was worried about, because if I hit enter and then it also triggered the button, then that would have been a pain. So the other thing we can do is up here where it says 100 credits, scan a planet, find a planet to settle. We can make that scan a planet the name of our what we did here in the name of the sun. And to do that, we can go ahead and have the name of the sun. That sounds like a video game thing. What we can do is here in the universe, when we have the sun get created, we're going to change the name. Sunlive.name equals destination. And up here, what we're going to do is we're going to have sunlive.name equals soul. And then what we're going to want to do is have that be what gets printed when we say find a planet. That part's okay, because we don't have a planet at that part. We're just going to want to copy this and put it down into here. There we are. And the last thing we're going to want to do is have that actually get set up again in the other places. That's a price text. I think I probably just set the wrong thing up, didn't I? Because I'm just an idiot. Yes. Which one of these is the middle one? Desk text is the middle one? Okay. So this is the one I was trying to change, and I instead changed the wrong one. I changed the price text, desk text. And then here we'll just go ahead and there we are. So we'll go ahead and call this home. And we're going to want to find the other places where our desk text gets set. Scan a planet. Scan a planet. Here it is. Sunlive.name plus star system. That should be it. Let's go ahead and move that to above our other objects. So if we move the cache down like this, it'll just float right down. And then what we'll want to do is have this cache text actually have... I can't actually give it an offset, can I? Oh, that's fine. I could do a... There. I want to set the amount of cache you've got off. So if we hit engage, it'll say home star system, 100 credits. We're going to want to change that from 100 credits down to substantially less, like say 15. 15 might be a little bit low. Let's say 9. The reason we're going with 9 is because then you won't be able to. Well, okay, maybe the player won't go to the default star system first, so we'll go ahead and make it 15. And then up here, what we're going to do is when we switch to a different star system, we're going to want to have the cache increase. So if money is less than 15, money equals 15. That way you can't lose. Because losing's not really the point. Winnebago. There we are. These two moon planets. Oh, I right-clicked. We're gonna have to. I'll have to get ready for that. That's fine. You don't lose anything for warping in and then warping out. You just lose the chance to actually see the planets. Look at this. There are a lot of planets here. So what we're going to want to do is have a couple of small special rules for how planets get spawned. Right now we have this planet spawner. Where is it? I don't have it opened up. Let's go ahead and open it up. And it has this min planets, max planets thing, right? What we're going to want to do is down here in spawn, this is the number of planets we're going to have. We're going to want to make it so that if num is less than 3, we're going to want to have it so that the max option, it just starts as the number of planet options we've got. That way we won't have that problem where we have just, you know, a tiny little place with 2 hot planets. Instead, we're going to have arbitrary places. Okay, that's too many. Let's I might have to move this set warps coordinate to the left just because it overwrites our visuals a little bit. Let's go to Boston. Boston. See, there we are. Boston only has 2 planets. And you can see that neither of them is the red hot planet. We got 2 inhabitable planets, which is a little bit strange, but, you know, I'm not going to complain. We can't actually afford to settle on these planets, mind you. That's fine. So what we're going to want to do is figure out. So that's the core game loop. That's the game. From this point, what we're going to want to do is figure out a couple of details, such as what sort of music we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the planets all have a specific song attached to them, and that way we'll have a different song for each planet type. And we're also going to have a song for being in the universe. So to do that, we're just going to go ahead and say public audio clip song. Right? Should be fine. And then over here in the universe, we're going to have public audio clip. I could have the sun have an audio clip. That's probably the easiest way to do it, right? Public audio clip song. And then we're going to want this universe to have an audio player of some kind. It doesn't have one at the moment, so we're going to have to add one. So it's got an audio listener, but it doesn't have an audio source. So we're going to just add one. Boom. So this audio source will be one that gets played on loop whenever we ask it to. And it doesn't matter what the settings are because it's on top of the camera. So it should be fine. All of that stuff should work fine. What we're going to want to do is have this universe control that audio source. So to do that, we're going to need to keep track of it. Public audio source, audio source. Do I need to override that, put in a new? No, it looks like it's fine. So now that we have an audio source, we can set it to play whenever we go places. So here when we warp, we can go ahead and say audio source. Hold on. Did I forget to change this to, oh, there it is, yeah. So what we should really do is have the state be something that's a little bit more aggressive. Hold on a moment. public interaction state, state, and then public interaction state, state. Get return state. Set. Now here is where things get a little bit fun. So state equals interaction state. That's fine. Equals value. But we're going to want to switch the state. Well, that's not entirely true. We're going to want to do a switch beforehand. And the reason for that is because sometimes there's going to be combinations of state changes that aren't going to change what song we're playing. So that should, be something we take care of. Default is debug.log warning no music. Break. Case interaction state galaxy map. We're going to go ahead and be completely silent here. So for that, we're going to just go ahead and say audio source dot stop. Break. And then we're going to have solar system. We're going to want the audio source to play the music that we choose. You can see that we have no ability to set the audio sample right now. We can either set the audio sample separately by calling audio clip, or we can tell it to play a specific audio clip. Now the thing is, I'm not 100% sure that play one shot will loop. We'll find out. That's not how you spell break. So here's the thing. If we're doing a planet settle, we probably are already on the correct song because we had to be on the planet highlight to get there. But if we're on the planet highlight, there's two ways we could be going. We could be coming back from the planet settle, or we could be going in from the solar system. So if state equals planet settle, come on. Break. Otherwise, we're going to want to play the song. There we are. And that should work as long as there are no null songs. Now with that in mind, we're going to start to listen to songs. These are copyrighted, but I have the rights to them. On YouTube, there shouldn't be any problems because I've contacted the songwriter. But I don't know about on Twitch. I guess we'll find out. If my audio goes silent or something, let me know. So, yeah, that should all work. Let's go ahead and set up that audio source as rigged in so that we'll be able to do it properly when the time happens. Otherwise, I'll forget. Galaxy map. There we are. So, with that in mind, we have a batch of songs from Michael Lamena, and I'm a fan of his stuff, so we're going to use some of these. It's just a matter of which ones we want. So, where's the play button? This is a pretty suitable star exploration theme. Yeah, we'll use this for our star exploration main loop. Let's see. Nope, 2/10. Nope. Nope. This is a pretty cool song. Let's go ahead and make this the gas giant song. It's Forsaken. All right, because we can't actually settle the gas giant, so they're not going to hear it very often. But it should be fine. This looks like it's not going to work. This is very driving. I'm not sure this is going to work. For now, let's go ahead and set this up as our song for the main Earth planets. And we'll probably change it later because it's a little bit too heavy. For now, let's make this the hot planets. There we are. Now let's move on to Galactic Adventures 2. To be honest, I probably should start at 3, because he gets better over time, right? I hope. I like it, but not sure it fits. This is what I normally use for exploration music, and I think I'm going to go ahead and stick to that. We're going to make this the universe's song here. Sorry, it's the sun's song. And we'll make Abandoned our homeworld's song. Although that will just increase the size that we need to compress. Let's go ahead and use Eclipse of 3 for both. That way we won't have too many... what the heck? There we are. Now, to be honest, I should be copying these to a different directory so that I can optimize them and them alone. We're just going to go ahead and create an audio directory real quick. And it got created inside of another directory because for some reason clicking over here counts as clicking over here. That's something I wish Unity wouldn't do because it's annoying. So let's take a look here. We just put in the Eclipse of 3. Drop it over there. And we have a couple of other songs which we'll have to fish out if we don't replace them. Oh, this is nice. Let's go ahead and make this the moon. So if we go down to prefabs and we select the moon likes, we can drop that in right here. This looks like it's too heavy. No, not at all. This is nice. I think this makes better sense for the Earth planet than what we're doing now, so we'll use that. Wait, which one was it? Was it I Will Return or It's Up to Us? Yeah, here it is. Yeah, it's fine. So we still could use a better song for hot planets. This sounds like a pretty good hot planet to me. How about you? Sounds good. Drop it in. So we have the option of taking stems. Since we pulled all of our audio in from this one place, we can use the stems, and that's really a nice option. So that's what we'll do. What we're going to have to do here is add in the hot planet song that we just pulled in, which was Lost Star. And I'm going to go ahead and assign the same Lost Star to the gas giant, just so that we don't have to do any extra work. There we are. So that's the core songs, but we're going to go ahead and drop in the stems for those as well. So here's the eclipse of 3 stems. Just drop them in. And let's see, what else did we do? Eclipse of 3, I will return, it's up to us. I will return, it's up to us, and star. I will return, it's up to us. Oh, that wasn't right. God damn it. Come on, behave. Here. And lost star. There it is. There. And the basic idea here is that these stems allow you to throw in some variation. So if we wanted to, we could add in as much variation as we want. These don't look like intros, though, and I was expecting some of these stems to be intros, and they are not. So that means that I've got to do the intro the hard way. Hard being a relative term, meaning I've just got to control the volume myself here. We're going to go ahead and do that. Erdroy says there's not sound. Oh, you couldn't hear the music? Great. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and turn that up. So, that's dumb as hell. I'm sorry about that. I should have checked. Can you hear it now? I think you can probably hear it now. So we're going to need to have an audio manager here. We're going to go ahead and call this the song manager. And our song manager can be arbitrarily simple or complicated as we see fit. But basically, we're going to want the song manager to have 2 audio objects so we can handle their volume independently. So audio source array, song sources. And then we'll just do a public int active source equals 0. And then we're going to want to have here and start if song sources dot length does not equal to debug.log error. Need exactly 2 song sources in the song manager on and name. And what we're going to want to do is have a live version of this, public static song manager live. And we're going to want to, we can add in more complicated things later, I suppose, but we're going to want to have a static function for playing a song. Audio clip song. So live.play song. Void play audio clip song. So first let's go ahead and see what we're actively playing. So public audio clip active song. If song equals active song, then return. Now, if it's a new song, then we need to know whether or not we have an active song right now. And if we do, we need to turn it down or turn it off. So we're going to go ahead and put in a protected, protected bool ramping down equals false, ramping up equals false. And then we're going to want to just have that in here. So if the song is equal to the active song, we just return with nothing. If the song is equal to null, if there's no song, then we're going to want to say that ramping down equals true. And then we get to say the active song equals song for that. If song equals active song, don't do anything. So if we're past a null, we ramp down regardless of what we're being told, just in case we've done something silly. Otherwise, we're going to want to set our active song equal to the song. And then we're going to want to set ramping down to true if we're currently playing something. So if active song, then ramping down equals true. Otherwise, we're going to want to say ramping up equals true. We're going to want to say ramping up equals true either way. There we go. So here in update, void update, if ramping down, then we're going to want to reduce the volume on the active song source. So song sources active source dot volume minus equals time dot delta time. If song sources active source dot volume is less than or equal to 0, then ramping down equals false. That should do. And then down here we'll say if ramping up, else if ramping up. So the problem is that the active source is going to be the one that we're ramping down. We're going to want to have that be two different objects. Ramp down source. So down here we're going to want to fix this up so that it doesn't, this is all too complicated. So we don't need any of this stuff. If song equals active song, return. If there is active song, then ramping down equals true and ramping down source equals active source. Then we're going to go ahead and say active source plus plus if active source is greater than or equal to song sources dot count or length, then active source equals 0. There we go. So when we ramp down, that should all work. This is going to be for the ramp down source. Ramp down source. Song sources active source dot volume plus equals time dot delta time. If song sources active source dot volume is greater than or equal to 1, then ramping up equals false. There we go. And that should, in theory, work. We're going to want to have this where if it's null, we are okay with that. So here we're going to go ahead and say if song equals active song. If active song, then we're going to want to set this up to our new capability. So we're going to go ahead and say active source. So song sources active source play once. Active song. This is going backwards. You're an idiot. There we are. So we're going to play it. We're also going to turn down the volume. There we are. If it's not an active song, then we don't care. The volume will be 0. We could stop it, but I don't really care. We're going to go ahead and stop it here, though. Perfect. In theory, this should work. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this audio source, and then we're going to go and put the new song manager here and drop in both of these audio sources. There we go. And then when we are doing our song management here in the universe, we're going to tell it to, instead of audio source, we're going to go ahead and use a song manager. So and then we're going to just have to set this up with a couple of values here. So this is a static value of play, which we don't actually need if we're referencing the song manager. So never mind. We don't need this song manager. We can just tell it. We're going to have another stock here. public static. That's not how you spell public. Public. That's not how you spell public either. Public static void stop. Live.play. Null. Right. So over here in universe, we're going to want to use the song manager calls instead. Do we have any more audio source nonsense happening? Maybe, maybe not. Any more problems? No? It's all good? All right, let's go ahead and give it a shot, shall we? Object not set to an instance of an object. Song manager. Oh, I forgot to actually set it. I'm just an idiot. Grind, 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 and play. Still no. It could be that sunlive.song didn't get played. Well, let's try that one more time, because it might be that I accidentally forgot to set the soul. We don't have a sun here yet. Okay. There's no sun live. So the problem is that we are setting our solar system here before we actually set our sun live up. So we're going to go ahead and just delay that until after our sun live has been set up. Good, it's working. You can hear that, right? Well, not if I go away from Unity. It stops then, but... yeah, I'm just testing my own volume versus that volume. Let me know how the volume is. So the volume here is 0 and the volume here is 1. We should currently be playing no active song. Okay, so it looks like I may have screwed up one of the pieces of logic. Oh, of course, those aren't planet prefabs. I forgot about that. So we've got to drop those songs into the Sol planet. These are no longer prefabs, so we've got to drop the music in manually. So that means that we've got to drop in the I will return clip. Here. And then for the hot planet, it is, I think, the other I clip. Oh, no, that's not that. Hot. Lost star. All right, so... There we go. And we're going to go ahead and compress these if we want to. We may have to change their sampling rate. You can see that the imported size is 3.5 megs for that. But for here, this is 3.9, 3.8. I guess that's not too bad. 15 megs for all of the songs that we need. Maybe that's okay. Oh, I forgot to... Hold on. Apply and delete. I think that this planet might not be randomized. I think it might be static. Let's go ahead and see whether or not we get the same exact moon. It looks like it's the same moon. Oh, it's not. It's different. Okay. I might need to polish the moons a little bit. They're a little bit indescript, undescript, nondescript. Interesting. Let's go ahead and settle right here in this crater. By the way, the alternative to doing it this way with the slow pan and scan is to have a setup where it does each layer. So it just does like the first of each of the objects. The problem is that each of those noise objects can affect the overall noise value on the various channels, and that's supposed to happen in sequence, not in parallel. We have no interest in this city. I think I'm going to leave that because it's just so weird. Because it's always opposed to the robots who have so much stuff to say that they actually can't say it all. Let's go over to Spoob. All right, so we now got Spoob and all that stuff. So the last thing we're going to want to do is have a very, very basic set of instructions here in the Explore tab, just so that we can not confuse anybody, because obviously there's a lot of stuff going on, and I don't want people to feel like they are confused. There we are. And we'll just go ahead and change that to a slightly grayer gray. There we are. And maybe make it size 14. No, size 14 is too big. There we are. Save this, and I think that this is basically done. Right. Earth. And it sounds like we got a problem with the audio sources, where they triggered too many sources at once, and now I got 2 songs playing. To be honest, that's fine. See, this moon looks cool. The moon around Earth looks really bad and dull, though. That's interesting. Maybe I should have it randomize a couple of times. Well, while it's interesting when we get the bug that causes them to do this, what we're going to want to do is down here in the Song Manager, if we are actively, if we are winding down, ramping down, then we're going to want to set that volume to 0, just snap. Audio source, songs, hold on, what are they called? Song sources. Song source, ramp down, so I'll just go ahead and copy it. That should keep us from having two songs overlap. The last thing is I want to pull in that planet one more time. Sol. I think what's happening is that these planets are not actually randomizing. They're just running. Nope, that's not what's happening. Okay, so I don't know what's going on, but it should work. The question is why we keep getting that weird, pale, pasty moon here. So that's the same exact moon. They're not randomizing. That's so strange. Is that because I set it to a seed of 0 somehow? Is that something that's causing an issue? Let's go ahead and not have it set the seed. And then what we'll do is we will manually set the seed on Sol to whatever we want. Like 42. Now, it doesn't look very different. In fact, it looks extremely similar to the point where I'm starting to think that maybe these planets are just not randomizing. Yeah, you can see how these are keeping the same features no matter what I do. The exact noise values are changing, but the features remain the exact same. And this means that there's something where this Sol object isn't actually... these planets aren't actually randomizing, which is kind of fascinating. We'll go ahead and hit randomize until we get something that looks a little bit more interesting. And then we'll try and save that and see whether or not that takes. No, it didn't take. Huh. This is honestly fascinating. It's not behaving in the way I thought it would. Huh. Well, I mean, this one is slightly better, so I guess we'll leave it like this. It's at least got features on it. All right, so let's go ahead and set it up to have a build export here. One thing I want to change is right now, one of the things that happens is if you Alt-Tab away, it stops playing. I can't remember how to make that not happen. Here it is, running background. With something that actually takes time to render, Alt-Tabbing away sounds like it would be fine. Now, we don't have an icon for it right now, but we can maybe build one. Let's go ahead and take a screenshot of one of the planets and make it into an icon. I should also have it paint that leading edge bright blue. Hold on. There we are. We'll take a screenshot of that, and then we will save that as icon stuff here in the sprites. Hold on a moment. I gotta friggin' set this up again. I'm gonna switch you over to Phoenix Write for a second. You can probably still hear me though, right? Right. Create new from clipboard. And save. Yeah, and then I'll put this over here in sprites. Yeah. PNG. Icon. There we are. Back over to the screen stream. So the icon is now this box, and that's obviously dumb. So what we're going to want to do is split this into a squarish shape. We'll just grab something like this. Z. And that's kind of off-center, so we'll just drag it until it is a little bit more on-center. Oh, right, if it's off-center, I can always use it for names. I don't know what I should name this. If anybody watching, there's nobody watching. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and name it without your input then. Sell the stars. Let's call it to sell the stars or something similar. And we'll go ahead and scale this up and put it into, oh, come on. There we are. Oh, there. And we're going to want to duplicate this, so we'll just drag and duplicate it. Oh, and the reason we're going to want to duplicate it is because I may need to change it later, and I don't want to have to do it twice. So we're going to go ahead and use some reshaping. Edit, transform, mesh transform. It's not even Steven here. That was dumb of me. Let's go ahead and try that one more time. Just select the whole section and then edit, transform, mesh transform. Oh, my throat is so scratchy. I hope I'm not getting sick. Oop. Good enough. And then what we'll do is we will put in the hard coding, and then we'll just spray some crap on it to make it seem a little bit interesting. Red is probably not the right color. How about blue? Yeah, that's fine. And we'll save that icon.png. Now, we're supposed to have several different sizes of icons, so that's what we're going to do now. We're just going to change the size of the canvas. Nope, we're going to scale the canvas. My bad. Change image resolution. Right now we're at 709. Let's go ahead and see how we look at 128 by 128. Still legible, so that's good. Go ahead and say this is icon 128. And then we're going to undo that, and then we're going to scale it again down to 64 by 64. Starting to get a little bit hard to read. If I turn this back on, no. So maybe I can't use that scaling mode. No, that's file stuff. I want 64 by 64, hard outline. Nope, that's even less legible. Okay. Let's go ahead and see what will happen if we try and use that scale for our image here. So icon 128, I'm going to go ahead and change this to a sprite or an editor GUI. I don't know which one it has to be in order to count. And then we'll go over into our project settings player here. And you can see that we have the option of dropping in a whole bunch of different sizes. And I happened to notice that 128 was a valid size. For some reason it's not. How do I drag it in? Does it have to be a different image type? I can take off this headset. What's going on? Oh, I can actually click override. Does that mean there is like an icon that I can just use for everything and it'll just be like, yeah, I'll just do as best I can? That would be nice. I don't think so though. Override. So we'll just drop this in. should be easier to create an icon. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I don't really care about anything else. We're going to want to make sure that we're not doing the splash screen, which I can do because I'm all paying for this stuff. And I would be more inclined to show the splash screen if paying for this stuff didn't actually make it harder to use this product. All right, so I save that. And then let's go ahead and build it. Come on, you. There we are. So I've got a lot of things that I want to build, and I guess I'll just add this one scene because that's all I need. I'm going to have to switch you over to Phoenix Wright again for a second here, sorry. There we are, and build it. I don't want it in the animations. Why would it be there? Let's go ahead and say it is going to be to sell the stars 1.0. Failed with errors. Oh, hold on. So I screwed up, and I apparently left some stuff in here. So this stuff should actually only compile at all when it is in the Unity mode. And I thought that that was going to just automatically happen, like it wouldn't get included because it's a Planet editor, right? So it shouldn't be here. The Planet editor script here, I thought that the editors like didn't get included. Did I not? Did I name something wrong, maybe? Well, you know what? We'll just go ahead and comment it all out. That's the only editor I had, so we'll go ahead and try that one more time. And let's tell it to... Oh, look at my headset. Build and run. Let's see how big it is and some various other things. I don't believe it's going to include all of the music that I didn't use, but I can always delete that music and then rebuild it if it did. I'm hoping that the total size is going to be less than 100, because there shouldn't be very much in the way of large stuff here. We shall see momentarily. I know that just the Unity standalone is 30, so... Huh. It looks like it might be including all of the songs, because it should not take anywhere near this long. That's interesting. I guess that the automatic culling stopped working at some point. Great. Well, we'll sit here. I'll check my various Twitter-y stuff. Sounds like my upstairs neighbor is vacuuming. Seriously? You're still building? Jesus. It's got to be including all the music. This is ridiculous. Should I hit cancel and try again with after deleting all the music? I thought that it didn't include shit that you didn't use. I thought that that was kind of one of the big selling points. Finally, Jesus. I guess I put my headset on way too early. Oh. I got a package. I'll have to go out and grab that real soon here. So here you can see the graphics qualities go from very low to way too high. And I made those way too highs named special things on purpose. Because I knew they might be causing issues They actually make things really big. Oh, I forgot to make like the blue line. Oh well, I don't think I'll bother. Boom. Right, good. Seems to work. So I can go ahead and release this if the size is reasonable, but I don't think it is. I think that the size is extremely unreasonable. So we're going to want to go over there and take a look. Once again, I'm going to give you Phoenix Wright for a second while I fuss with my internal computer settings. I know it's annoying, sorry. Don't open it, just... There we are. Alright, so... This should be fine now. We're going to go ahead and pop back up into the Procjam. So here it is, to sell the stars data. The shared assets only came out to 15 megs. No, apparently it did in fact, yeah. So it did trim out all of those songs, but for some reason it took a long time to do that. I don't really know why. So we're going to go ahead and package these up. And see what the total size is. Total size of the Procjam, 31. That's really small. Okay, so I'm going to go publish this. And it's relatively easy to find. It'll just be on my itch.io page. I'll post a link in the chat if you really want to see it, or down below in the comments if this is on YouTube. But it'll be like maybe 10 minutes before it goes up. Thanks for keeping an eye on me throughout this Procjam. I had a lot of fun doing something on the quick and taking a lot of shortcuts. See you around.